Back on a good word here. John, you know that I'm a traditionalist, right? People who've known me, who've seen me here on various other platforms, I'm sure you can probably surmise my basketball sensibilities. I am not a hardcore tradition. Put it like this. It's weird to hear a black man say he's a traditionalist because a lot of times that don't work for us, okay? Us in systems, us in institutions, that usually does not work in our favor. But in the basketball context here, I have learned over the past couple of weeks and talked to folks with the NBA, John, the all-NBA team, the all-defensive team, in addition to the all-rookie team, which has always been that way, or recently been that way, we're going positionless. It's just going to be pick your 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, whatever it is, and they're eliminating positions. And pardon my French here, I think that's the dumbest shit the league could do. And so much of this is like, I want people to understand, John. I kind of need people to understand. A lot of us take our votes really seriously. Some people have given up their votes. I've had a vote since 2011. I really cherish it. I really take it seriously just because of the history of the game. I'm a historian of the game. So when I look back at all NBA teams and MVPs and all defensive teams, I want those years to be reflective of what actually happened and not just random pieces to a puzzle. And I feel like the NBA is being very reactive. I don't know if it's Adam Silver or the Minions or whoever the hell it is, but the NBA is almost at a point they react so much to like the minutia, to the dumb stuff, that you risk losing your fabric. You risk losing the thing that makes you unique to who you are. Like when I'm looking at the all-pro list in football every year, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, like I want that to be reflective of who was the best playing his position that year. I don't care if the 5th best wide receiver didn't make an all-pro team. Them's the breaks, y'all. Sometimes that just happens. Sometimes you're just at a deep spot and you're the 5th best wide receiver or the 5th best running back or whatever it is. And sometimes there's a quarterback and you're like, man, he made a Pro Bowl or he made all-pro. Hey, them's the breaks, y'all. It happens sometimes. But because the NBA has been branding itself as positionless, because the NBA listens to any and everybody, because the NBA wants to be everything to everybody, they forget who they are in instances like this. It's just my opinion. And John, I'm going to read you. John, the top 5 MVP vote getters from the year 1994. You ready?
Ready.
So the winner, of course, was Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem also won Defensive Player of the Year, and a couple months later, he was Finals MVP, led the Rockets to their first NBA title. Second was David Robinson. You know, there's a trend there. That's a center. You know. Third was Scottie Pippen. You know, that one MVP year. Everybody says Scottie Pippen, hey, he finished third, and he was sitting bull and fouling bull and all that in that series against the Knicks. Okay, Scottie was third. Fourth and fifth, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq was in year 2. And Patrick Ewing with the New York Knicks. Pat wound up leading the Knicks to the NBA Finals. So you know what? So you got 1, 2, 4, and 5. You got 4 centers and 3 spots for all NBA. Guess what happened, John? Patrick Ewing didn't make all NBA. Oh, well, them's the breaks, dog. He went to the All-Star game. He's noted as being a top 5 MVP guy. He just didn't make, he just wasn't an all NBA guy because the position he played was healthy and stacked. But because Joel Embiid finished second 2 years in a row to Nikola Jokic, or because Nikola Jokic finished second to Joel Embiid last year, we can't have Nikola Jokic on second team. Yes, we can. It's okay. We don't have to be so sensitive and reactive to everything. And I know that the NBA brands itself as being positionless, but there are still certain roles that you need filled on a court. You need someone to make plays. You need someone who functions as a point guard. You need someone who functions as a scorer. You need someone to protect the rim and rebound. You need all those things can be filled at different spots, but functionally, you know who does what. You know what position is supposed to do what, right?
We've done this already. Like when I was growing up, when you were growing up, as I stated, I'm like 3 weeks younger than you. There was a point guard, a shooting guard, a small forward, a power forward, and a center. Now there is 2 guards, 2 forwards, a center. Sometimes it's 2 guards, 2 wings, a big. Sometimes it's 2 bigs, 3 smalls. Like, we kind of do this already, but no one ever goes, oh, it's just 5 positionless guys out there.
It's not, because nobody plays basketball like that.
No one watches basketball like that.
Nobody does. It's stupid. Look, if you want to tell me, okay, Vinny, we don't have really traditional point guards anymore. Chris Paul's the last of a dying breed, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. I'm with you on that. If you want to say Jokic and Embiid are, 2 of the best players in the league and they happen to play the same position, okay, cool. I'm fine with that too. Right? But we can divvy it up in a different way. We don't have to go completely positionless. You don't have to turn this into something with no structure. That's my problem, John. It's no structure to this. I want to have freedom within the structure, but there needs to be structure. Okay? Even if you do 2 backcourt players, 3 frontcourt players, why would that not work? We do that for the All-Star game when they ask the media, hey, media, can you vote on what players you would consider to be your top 5, All-Star players in the East and West? Because the media has 25% of that vote, the fans have 50% of that vote, and the players have 25% of that vote. We don't do point guard, shooting guard, 3, 4, 5. We do 2 backcourt and 3 frontcourt. Why couldn't we do that there? It doesn't make any damn sense. And I get it. And Nick Wright brought it up last week. It was a really fun episode with Nick. Me and Nick, of course, are diametrically opposed to a bunch of different things, but he brought up the one year that LeBron James could have and should have won Defensive Player of the Year and lost it to Marc Gasol. And Marc Gasol, I'm not even sure if Marc Gasol made an all-defensive team in 2013. In large part because one voting block votes for all defense, or at least back then, and the media voted for Defensive Player of the Year. But those things tend to happen because a lot of times, front court players are lauded as the better defenders, especially in today's game when you can get a lot of blocks and a lot of steals, and you can put yourself on the perimeter and really be adept and show it in a bunch of different ways, especially because you can't put your hands on anybody. It's really hard to have the Gary Payton lockdown defenders, even though we had Marcus Smart win Defensive Player of the Year. I think was that last year or the year before?
Sounds like last year. Last year, Marcus Smart, I think, won. I'm going to look it up.
Could have been. It's weird. John, I could tell you who won Defensive Player of the Year in 1995 and couldn't tell you who won Defensive Player of the Year last year. It's just the weirdest way my brain works.
Who won it in 1995?
I think that was Mutombo.
It was Mutombo. Yes, I'm glad I called you on it now.
See, I'm good. Don't test my gangster, John. How dare you?
We both got last year wrong.
Last year was Jaren Jackson Jr.
There it is.
Boom. It just took me a second to remember. That's all. Jaren Jackson Jr. Yep. But I say that to say it's okay to have some structure. I'll give you another year. Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler finished 1-2 in MVP in 1992. And luckily, because they were both guards, like the media had the good sense to say, John Stockton, nah. You're going to step aside for Clyde. You're going to have Mike and Clyde as the 2 guards. It's okay. Like, those things happen and it's all right. In the NBA, for whatever reason, I keep going back to this. Adam Silver has shown to be forward-thinking and pliable. I just gave him a ton of credit for the play-in. I was one of the people saying, hey, let's give this in-season tournament thing a chance, even though it's clearly a money grab. There's a lot of things that Adam Silver has done right since taking over from David Stern. David Stern was known to be inflexible. He was known to be hard-headed, but there were principles there. You know what I mean? There were hardcore principles that he probably wasn't going to bend much on. With Adam Silver, I think he's bending a little too much to, quote unquote, the way that the game is being played. Because who says the game is always going to be played this way? And add to the fact, John, and you pointed this out in the rundown, this affects contracts. This affects super maxes and all those other things. And on top of that, we're saying guys have to play X amount of games, have to play 65 games, which is 80% of the season, which I don't think is really all that hard to ask for. But there are some guys who wind up, being a little bit on the threshold, right? But I'm really passionate about this, guys, because I take my vote seriously, and I am a historian, and I know that this might be in the crates. Like, this might be the thing that only Vinny cares about. But I feel like it's something that's ingrained in NBA history. I think it's something that the league should really relent on. Like, the media didn't ask for our vote to determine whether you're going to get a supermax contract or not. Like, you're not necessarily comfortable with that, but you're comfortable with being an impartial party that looks at the league from a wide lens and says, okay, who are the 2 best guards, or who are the 3 best forwards, and so on and so forth. I'm rocking with that.